Hallelujah, praise God, church. So let us go to our third part. We have read into our first part, we saw the story of Joseph, how his brother sold him. So in our second part, we saw the two chiefs that the Pharaoh sent to prison, the cupbearer and the cupbaker, and the chief baker, the chief bearer and the chief baker. So after I sent them to the prison, they dreamt the dreams, told them to Joseph. Joseph interpreted the dreams. So the one whom he told that is going to be replaced his crown, be serving back the king, the chief bearer, happened, and the chief baker, who he said that is going to be beheaded and his flesh is going to be lifted up and the birds are going to feed his flesh, it also came true. So let us go to our third part. We're going to begin from Genesis chapter 41 from verse 1. We're going to read also 2 chapters in this part, and let us dive in and see. Genesis chapter 41 verse 1 says, when 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, the river Nile. He was standing by the river Nile. When out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, the 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the river bank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 silky fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain, shrouded, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of the grains swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning, his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dream, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief bearer said to Pharaoh, today I am reminded of shortcomings. Pharaoh was once angry with his servant, and imprisoned him and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream at the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Now a younger Hebrew was with us, a servant of the captain of guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man the interpretation of his dream. And things turned out exactly as he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other was impaled. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. He was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said to you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the river bank of the Nile. When out of the river, there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows came up, silver-winged, screwy, and very ugly. And I had never seen such ugly cow in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cow ate up 7 fat cows and came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprout, withered and thick and scorched by the east wind. The thick head of grain swallowed the 7 gold heads. I told this to the magicians, and none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward, the 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind, are the 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. But 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was giving Pharaoh the 2 forms in that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take a fifth of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. This food should be held and reserved for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not reign by the famine. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and all the officials. So Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" The Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of the palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will be greater than you." Now Joseph, God gave him favor that only the throne is greater than him. That means he is the second in charge. After the throne, Joseph. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph, whose finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and people shouted before him, "Make a way." Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift hand or feet in all Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath Paneah, and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, Pharaoh, priest of On, to be his wife. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. What can we note here? Joseph was 17 years when he was at his father. He dreamt the dreams. That's that were revealed by the Bible. When he dreamt the dreams, his brothers sold him. So all after that, when his brothers sold him, he went to Egypt. He suffered. He served in Potiphar's house. So after all that, Joseph reached his success, came out of prison. Then he interpreted the dreams at 30 years. That patience of 20 years plus in prison. Let's continue. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7th year of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities and of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. The reason maybe they kept the sand of the cities for building, because for me I know sand of the sea is used for building. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born of Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh and said, "This is because God has made me forget all the trouble and all my father's household." God can make you forget all the trouble. This is what we note in verse 51. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh and said, "This is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." All the trouble he passed through, the prison, his brother selling him, all what he passed through. He said, named his firstborn Manasseh. The second son, he named it Ephraim and said, "This is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and 7 years of famine began. Just as Joseph had said, there was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. Then Pharaoh told all the Egyptians to go to Joseph and do what he tells you. When famine had spread over the world, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to Egyptians, for famine was served throughout Egypt. The last verse, and all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe. Let us go to the next chapter 2, 42. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you just keep looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come for him. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain for there was famine in the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all the people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their face on the ground. And as soon as his brothers he recognized them, there the dream came true, where he dreamt these things, the wood which he collected And his brothers corrected, as we saw in the verse in Genesis chapter 37, and they bowed down to him. And when he dreamt the moon, when the creatures were bowing down to him, here the dreams came true. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where did you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, "to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him, because they thought that when they saw him there, he couldn't be what he is, that he is the governor. Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected. You are spies. You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food." "No," he said, "we are not. We are the sons of no man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them, "you have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers. Your servants were 12 brothers, the son of the man who lived in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph said to them, "This is just as I told you, you are spies. And this is how you are, how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother, and the rest of you will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back to your starving household. But you must bring the youngest brother to me, so that your word may be verified, and that you may not die." This they proceeded to do. They said to one another, "Surely we are bringing punishments because of our brother. We saw our distress. He was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come to us." They were judging themselves, or they were putting bali besalira omusango that they sold their brother Joseph, and that's what they are paying now. Reuben replied, Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give the accounting for his blood." This they did not realize that Joseph would understand them, since he was using an interpreter. He turned away from them and began to weep, but then came back and spoke to them again. He was Simeon, taken from them and bonded before their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and put each man's silver back in his sack, and give them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grains as their donkeys and left. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver in the mouth of the sack. "My silver has been returned," he said to his brothers. "Here, this is my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned each other, trembling, and said, "What is this the Lord has done to us?" When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They said, "The man who is the Lord over the land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on his land. But he said, 'We are honest men.' But we said to him, 'We are honest men. We are not spies. We were 12 sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan.' Then the man who is the Lord over the land said to us, 'This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brother here with me and take food for your serving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you will trade in the land.' As they were emptying the sacks, there in each man's sack was pouch of silver. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened. Their father Jacob said to them, 'You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me.' Then Reuben said to him, 'You may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back.' But Jacob said, 'My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in Shiloh. Thank you for reading the Bible with me. So let us meet in chapter